At the edge of time, before nations and cities, before gods had names, there was only humanity, small, curious, and searching for meaning beneath a vast and unpredictable sky. The story begins here, at the very top of the great tree, a web of myth and memory stretching back into the unknown. In this distant dawn, legends speak of two ancient brotherhoods, the sons of Belial and the brotherhood of the snake. They are not literal societies, but symbols of the human condition. The brotherhood of the snake represents the seekers of hidden knowledge, those who look upon the forbidden and ask, why? The sons of Belial, in contrast, represent chaos and self-interest, those who use knowledge for domination. Together, they form the first fork in the tree, wisdom and power, light and shadow. From this mythic tension, civilization takes its first root. In the fertile valleys between the Tigris and Euphrates, the Sumerians build their cities of clay and fire. They raise ziggurats to the heavens, invent writing and measure time in the cycles of stars. Around them rise the Canaanites of the Levant, a people of traders and priests who give the world early forms of worship that will echo for thousands of years. Their pantheon holds names like El, Baal, and Moloch, deities of storms, fertility, and sacrifice. To the southwest, the Egyptians emerge beside the Nile. Their pharaohs rule as gods in flesh, and their temples mirror the order of the cosmos itself. In their language, the word for truth and balance is ma'at, the eternal law. The priests of Egypt become masters of symbol and ceremony, their pyramids standing as vast stone prayers to eternity. And to the east, Babylon rises, the city of kings, walls, and stars. Here, astronomers and priests chart the heavens, seeking messages from divine realms. Their kings call themselves shepherds of humanity, and from their vision comes the idea that heaven and earth are reflections of one another, a principle that will shape law, empire, and religion for millennia. Across this upper canopy of the tree, these great civilizations are bound together. The Canaanites link the two worlds, Egypt's solar mysteries on one side, Babylon's celestial laws on the other. In between flows the thread of knowledge, myth, and empire. Then, in the middle of the ancient world, a new current begins to glow. From the line of the Canaanites comes Moses, a man raised among the palaces of Egypt yet destined to lead a different kind of revolution. He brings forth the tablets of the law, a code that unites divine command with moral conscience. It is the birth of monotheism, one God, one law, one people. The diagram places Moses at the trunk's center, the point where many roots converge and history begins to take human shape. From this center, two great streams flow outward. To the left stretches the Roman line, the age of empire. The Romans inherit the logic of the Babylonians and the discipline of Egypt, turning them into instruments of governance. They call their ruler the Pontifex Maximus, the great bridge between humanity and the gods. Their soldiers carry standards bearing the emblem of the sun, Sol Invictus, the unconquered light. Through conquest, law, and engineering, they shape a world unified by order and infrastructure, a legacy that endures even after their empire fades. To the right flows the Judean line, the age of faith. Here, in the rugged hills of the Levant, prophets speak of justice, mercy, and covenant. From these traditions come the texts that will anchor three of the world's great religions. The Judean branch represents not power over the body, but dominion over the soul, an authority carried in words, teachings, and scripture. And then, at the point where these two currents meet, the tree forms its great central heart, the Vatican. Here, Rome and Judea become one. Out of the ashes of empire, the Christian church rises, carrying forward Rome's hierarchy and Judea's faith. The Bishop of Rome becomes the new Pontifex Maximus, uniting earthly and heavenly rule beneath a single crown. Around this node, the diagram glows with the words canon law, crusades, inquisition. These are not random labels but symbols of the era when the church defined the moral and legal fabric of medieval Europe. From this heart of Christendom, two major branches unfold. To the left, the Knights Templar, founded in 1119, take their place. They are warrior monks, bound by vows yet wielding swords in the name of God. They protect pilgrims, build fortresses, and accumulate wealth and influence across Europe and the Holy Land. Over time, their network becomes the prototype for modern finance, lending, banking, and coded communication across borders. When they fall, accused of heresy, their legend takes root in secret, giving rise to centuries of speculation about their hidden heirs. To the right, the diagram shows the Khazars, a lesser-known but significant power of the medieval world. Their empire stretches between the Caspian and the Black Seas. Unique among nations, their rulers adopt a version of Judaism, bridging east and west. In trade and diplomacy, they connect the Byzantine Empire, the caliphates, and the nomads of the steppe. The Khazars embody the idea of cultural convergence, the meeting of belief systems that will later define the world's religious mosaic. Between these branches glows another word, Kabbalah. It represents the hidden or mystical interpretation of divine order, the spiritual mathematics of creation. Kabbalah becomes a bridge between faith and philosophy, influencing Christian mystics, Islamic Sufis, and later, European thinkers. It sits at the tree's center as a pulse of esoteric wisdom, quietly threading through centuries of theology and art. Beneath this mystical middle comes a new age, Switzerland, in the year 1291, a symbol of autonomy and neutral governance. As feudal kingdoms battle across Europe, Swiss cantons form alliances for mutual defense and self-rule. The chart places this moment as a pivot, the emergence of civic independence, separate from both empire and church. Around it are written canon law and Sharia law, two parallel systems of divine jurisprudence that shape justice in Christian and Muslim societies alike. Together, they represent humanity's attempt to anchor morality in law and law in faith. Time moves forward, and the world changes. The Renaissance rekindles curiosity. The Reformation splits Christendom. The Age of Exploration spreads cultures across oceans. Out of this crucible rise two powerful forces, the Jesuits and the Freemasons, opposite in origin, yet curiously mirrored in purpose. On the right, the Jesuits, founded in 1534 by Ignatius of Loyola, become the intellectual arm of the Catholic Church. They establish schools, universities, and missions on every continent, bringing education and theology to empires new and old. Their discipline, strategy, and global reach make them both admired and feared. In the diagram, they are the continuation of the Vatican line. Faith adapting to a world of science and empire. On the left, the Freemasons, formally organized in 1717, trace their symbolic heritage to medieval stonemasons, but emerge in the Enlightenment as philosophers of reason, equality, and fraternity. They gather in lodges rather than cathedrals, using architecture as metaphor. Every person a builder of society's moral temple. Their ideals of liberty and enlightenment influence revolutions, constitutions, and democratic movements. The Masonic branch represents the human pursuit of truth through reason rather than revelation. At the center of these two lines, where religion and reason meet, the tree marks the rise of modern finance and constitutional order. It names the Glorious Revolution of 1688, when parliamentary rule triumphed over monarchy in Britain, and the Rothschild banking dynasty, emblematic of the emerging global economy. These represent the transition from divine right to market power, from kings and priests to systems and commerce. As these branches converge, the 18th century arrives, a storm of ideas, revolutions, and discovery. From this fertile convergence rises a name that glows like a spark, the Illuminati, 1776. Founded in Bavaria by Adam Weishaupt, the Illuminati sought enlightenment through reason, education, and social reform. Their existence was brief, but the ideals they represented, the perfectibility of humanity, the pursuit of knowledge free from superstition, resonated deeply across Europe. The chart places them as the symbolic union of the Masonic and Jesuit lines, faith and reason, merged in the pursuit of an ideal order. And then, from this convergence of centuries, a new light emerges at the base of the tree. The United States of America, 1776. Beneath the words Novus Ordo Seclorum, a new order of the ages, a new experiment begins. The United States becomes, in this diagram, the culmination of all the forces above. The laws of Moses, the governance of Rome, the ethics of Judea, the scholarship of the Jesuits, the rationalism of the Enlightenment, and the symbolic vision of the Freemasons. The Great Seal itself, with its pyramid and all-seeing eye, is not evidence of conspiracy, but a poetic echo of humanity's oldest dream to build a just and enduring order that unites heaven and earth. Surrounding the base of this mighty tree are the rings of time, the Crusades, the Reformation, the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, the World Wars, each a scar and a growth ring in humanity's collective trunk. Each age brings collapse and renewal, corruption and enlightenment, echoing the same eternal cycle. At the outer edges, faint symbols linger, names of gods and stars, of philosophies and ideals, Osiris and Isis, Hermes and Venus, Christ and Lucifer, archetypes of duality that have guided art, myth, and morality. They remind us that beneath every institution lies a human story, of aspiration, of fear, of hope. And so, the great tree stands complete. From the mythic brotherhoods of the first dawn to the nations of the modern world, its branches tell the story of our shared inheritance, how belief becomes law, how law becomes empire, and how empire seeks meaning beyond itself. It is not a map of hidden masters, but a reflection of humanity's long attempt to organize chaos into order. 1,000 generations have built this living structure, of temples and governments, mysteries and manifestos, all seeking one thing: to understand the world and their place within it. The diagram is a mirror of civilization itself, a reminder that power and wisdom are never born in isolation. Every kingdom, every faith, every secret order stands upon the shoulders of the one before it. And as the light fades from the image, the great tree remains, a symbol of continuity, of knowledge handed from age to age. Its roots lie in myth, its trunk in history, and its branches stretch endlessly into the future, carrying forward the eternal dialogue between faith and reason, order and freedom, the seen and the unseen, the story of us all.